follow. And one of the things that I love about homeschooling is the community and how we help each other out. So that's what we're doing here, is we're providing a place for you, a place where we can have a conversation, where we can share, and we can learn, and we can grow, and we can encourage each other. So we're going to talk about things on this homeschool life, such as curriculum and how-tos, tips and tricks, day-to-day lifestyle, and more. So today, what we're going to talk about, we're going to continue talking about learning styles, and we're going to focus on your auditory learners. And so be sure to check out the other posts to learn about other learning styles. But to start with, let's talk about, in case you haven't seen those, let's talk about learning styles. What is that anyway? So learning styles are simply the way that we learn and process information the best way. And we each have kind of a built-in way that we do that. And we can use all the different learning styles, and we need to as we get older. But to start with, we have a predominant one. So why is this important? Because it helps you as the homeschool teacher to be able to select curriculum that will work best for your family, and it will help you to teach accordingly to each of your children's learning styles. So then your whole day will run smoother. So we are a mix, and there is no right or wrong learning style, so please don't think that. They're just all different. Often the struggles that we have in homeschooling are because of learning and teaching styles conflicting, and we just kind of butt heads. So as you learn the different learning styles of each of your children and yourself and your spouse, don't forget to include that, you will learn some efficient and effective techniques, so there will be less frustration, and it will improve the quality of learning and the speed of your homeschooling each day, just naturally. So let's just go over the four main types. There is visual, spatial, and so these are your kids or your people who are always saying, look at this or show me that, because they just need to see the things. And then you have your kinesthetic, tactile learners. And these are the ones that they're just constantly moving and touching things, and they learn best by moving. Then you have your right brain, left brain, which is your analytical and your abstract thinking people. And then you have your auditory, also known as audio or even oral learners. And these are the ones that learn best through hearing. And so you're going to hear them say things like, listen or tell me. And they're just the ones that take everything in through their ears and through hearing it and through speaking it, so they hear themselves whatever it is that they're reading or studying. And then also, in all of this, we're all either very social, where we just really gain a lot more from interacting with others and being in group settings, or even with just 2 or 3 people. And then you have the independent learners, the solitary ones. And those are the ones that just want you to present the material to them, give them their work that they need to do, and let them go off on their own and do it, where they can just focus and tune everybody out and just concentrate and get it done. So, does all of this mean that you cannot use the same curriculum with your entire family? No, absolutely not. You can. With your together subjects, you can, like history, science, and Bible. And then with your maybe more individual topics, like math, reading, and spelling, you just tailor it, you just tweak it a little bit. And so that way everybody gets to learn the most and absorb the most in their particular styles. So let me give you an example of that. Let's say for Bible. So for your auditory learner, you're going to read aloud the Bible lesson, the scriptures, however you're doing it. And you're going to read this aloud, and that is for your auditory learner. Now, while you're reading it aloud, your visual learner will be sitting next to you and reading along with you. And they might be like taking notes at the same time. Your kinesthetic learner can be listening and at the same time playing with a toy of some kind or coloring quietly. So that way, everybody is learning the same thing and you're just presenting the material one time. Over time, everybody needs to learn so that they can adapt to each of the different learning styles, because that's life. Information is presented in different ways in all these other different learning styles. So this will bring to your individuals and to your family more understanding, compassion, kindness, into the relationships, and also for processing when your kids grow up and they go off to college, to their jobs, interacting with other people, and with their own family that they eventually have. So again, the goal is education that sticks, right? Real understanding. So let's talk now specifically about your auditory audio learners. Remember, these are the ones that need to listen, they need to hear it, or they need to speak it so they can hear it. So here are some attributes about them, some characteristics. Your auditory learners will tend to be talkers. They love to express themselves verbally. And they, as I said, they remember oral instructions best. So hearing the information makes them more efficient versus you telling them to go read some instructions. Talk it out loud with them or let them read it out loud to themselves. They get a lot out of group discussions, and they read and talk to themselves quite often. And that's okay. And you can just teach them if it's distracting because they're doing it too loudly to your other children. Just teach them to do it softly. Some of them can even get to where, a lot of them, where they just move their mouth. They're saying the words, but they're not really putting a voice to it. But even just that is enough for them. This is how they process their school lessons and life problems the best. They will solve math by working through problems verbally, as an example. They will read aloud history texts. They will read aloud the science. Pretty much they'll read aloud anything unless you have the curriculum and the lessons on audio, which I will show you some examples of that here in just a little bit. They do really well with lectures, hearing others present material, and they actually do better when they hear their own voice. So you can kind of alternate, maybe sporadically give them a lecture to listen to or a curriculum to listen to, but then sometimes just give them the printed material and let them just talk it out loud to themselves. They benefit from telling others what they have learned, and they also, not just in telling, but in just having conversations back and forth, letting others ask them questions and such, and through presentations. They learn best with soft music playing in the background. They will hum a lot, you'll hear that. They're very rhythmic. They like to just kind of keep patterns going, like it might be with their hand or with their foot, and you'll just hear that throughout the day. Is any of this ringing a bell with you and one of your children or yourself or your spouse that maybe you weren't aware that that's because this is their learning style? And I'll tell you, the auditory learners that I have worked with, they are ones that are very musically inclined. And just because I'm saying that they learn best through hearing does not mean that they have super sensitive or great hearing. And often you will have to repeat yourself to get their attention because they are hearing in their head music or something that they're thinking on. It could be a movie or it could be anything. It could be dialogue going on in their head, and they're just so tuned into thinking and hearing that they don't hear you speak to them. Many listeners excel in musical talent. They are usually natural singers with excellent pitch memory. They enjoy listening to and or creating music in their spare time. And they can memorize jingles, poems, and commercials really easily because think about it, it has a little tune to it, right? A little rhythmic pattern. And this has been very true of all of the auditory learners that I've ever worked with. They love listening to audio books versus reading a text. So you can find those at your library and online, and it is a great way to get them to learning. Or if it is a novel that you're reading together as a family, take turns as a family reading it out loud. Maybe each person reads for 5 minutes, or each person reads a chapter when you're sitting down to do that together. They have high language skills, and they can sound older than their actual age. They can pick up many different foreign languages, and they can learn them just like that. Do you know anybody like that? I know an auditory learner, and he is fluent in 5 different languages the last I checked, because it's just something that he's really able to do. So they tend to like to become linguists or translators. They can easily remember the names of people. So when they meet somebody and they hear that name spoken out loud, they just remember it. And I am often jealous of that. They love verbal praise. So when they've done something, telling them good job and awesome is so much more meaningful to them than giving them a sticker or a prize of some kind. Now, struggles and challenges with your auditory learners include being easily distracted by background noises other than the music. So people talking or construction work going on or what have you, that tends to be a good distraction for them. They're not usually great test takers. And this is because they can't process the written material that they're reading fast enough. And tests are usually, like standardized tests particularly, are timed. So they can't even get through all the material before the time's up. It is a struggle for them to read technical or nonfiction writing. Rewriting and editing is a challenge for them. Researching, so again, this is all reading and writing things. Paying attention to details such as in math, science, and history, unless you pair it with music or other ways, not just reading it, but hearing it. And developing perseverance in most everything is a challenge for them, but that can be worked on over time, and with maturity, they can gain that essential skill. They flourish when they are told step by step a skill to learn. Notice I said told. They're told, not just read this and go do this, but told or allowed to talk it through themselves. When they're allowed to mouth those words and read aloud their lessons, especially reading comprehension and math, that really helps them a lot. Memorizing rules and plays and poetry and math facts, things like that, tend to be pretty easy for them. And being read aloud to while they point to the words helps them out a lot. So teaching them with materials and resources like CDs, audio devices, music and rhythm instruments, rhymes, clapping and keeping a beat, and this can go along with like whatever they're doing, like science, history, math, whatever it is. Echo games, where they have them repeat back and forth what you're saying. Puppetry, younger children can really get into that. Field trips with a purposeful interview focus, so they know what the goal is. Combining 2 or more academics, so singing their math facts, preparing presentations while they're learning the facts, so they're preparing to teach or tell or show somebody else what they have just learned. So a great example of that also, a fun example, is in The Sound of Music, the Do Re Mi song. So how do you know your kiddos' learning styles? You can go online and you can find free learning style assessments. If your children are really young, just take the assessment for them because you know what they're like all day long. And if they're older, have them take it themselves. You can also attend homeschool conventions, the workshops. There's usually always a learning style workshop. Or get recordings of those workshops if there's not a convention near you. This is where I actually learned about learning styles for the very first time. I had no idea they even existed. I had been homeschooling for a couple of years, and 3 years in fact, and my second child was just not learning like my first one did, and I was using the exact same curriculum and teaching her the exact same way, and I was not getting the exact same results, and we were struggling a lot. We would have tears many days. And so finally, just happenstance, I went to a workshop at a convention about learning styles because I thought there wasn't anything else I wanted to see that hour. Wonder what this is about. And as they talked through all the different learning styles, my light bulbs just started going off, and I would be like, oh my goodness, that's my oldest. Oh my goodness, that's my husband. Oh my goodness, that's me. Oh my goodness, that's my other child, and so on. So another place that you can get more information about learning styles is HSLDA.org. They have lots of really well-written articles. That's Homeschool Legal Defense Association.org. DianeCraft.org. She has spent years and years and lots of research and worked with kids in school settings and in her own private practice, and she has some great materials and resources. Dr. Kathy Cook at CelebrateKids.com. She has many different books and podcasts, and she's a featured speaker at a lot of the homeschool conventions and has been for years. And so she's done a lot of research herself and worked with tons and tons of children herself. So through her experience, she's been able to write these materials to help you and I out. KathyDuffyReviews.com. She does a great job reviewing homeschool curriculum, and she will most generally always put on there on every single piece what learning style this particular curriculum works best with. Now, if you want to go even deeper, there's this book, The Way They Learn. And she will even tell you in this that it can take 2 to 4 years to actually be able to learn everything in this book and be able to just apply it like that. But it's very fascinating, it's very interesting, and this is just a great reference book, and you can just take it a little at a time. It's very interesting. So let me show you some examples of curriculum that might work really well with your auditory learner. All right, so first of all, I've got this Diddy Bugs. Now, this has language arts, math, history, science, and Bible, little ditties, little rhymes, little easy to memorize songs that will help them to memorize facts like Columbus sailed the ocean blue type of thing. And so this is really popular. You can use things like CDs like this. This is Hide 'Em in Your Heart. This is Bible Memory Melodies with Steve Green. And then here is a Sing 25 Songs, Hear 25 Stories, Color 25 Pictures. And so these would be great with your younger children and an inexpensive way to teach them. And then another audio set, Adventures in Odyssey. If you're not familiar with this series, it's a great, great series, and it teaches a lot of great characteristics. This one teaches family, unity, courage, and faith. It's called The Wildest Summer Ever. And so just through them listening through things like this, they're learning. For your older children, here is a 25 DVD set. This is constitutional literacy. And so they can just listen to all of this information to learn a lot of great details about the Constitution, and then pair it up with the workbook that goes with it and let them apply what they're learning through various different activities. So just because you have an auditory learner doesn't mean that they'll never do paper tests or paperwork or anything like that. It just means when they're learning, they need to hear the materials rather than read it, but then they can apply it to tests and activity books and things. So I pulled a few activity books just to remind you that. For art, I grabbed Art of the Middle Ages. This is for grades K through 3. This is Artistic Pursuits, and it has DVDs in it so that they can learn by hearing and seeing the artwork that they're supposed to be doing. For math, I've got a couple of things, a couple of examples. So here's a Times Tales DVD. And so this has got like some little cartoon characters, and it's got some songs, and it's got music, and it's got a little game show quiz. And so this will help them to learn that. And then here's a little mini flip book that they can use they can color, and they can use to help cement that they're learning through the DVD. Switched on Schoolhouse, comes on a USB, and it is, this one is for 3rd grade. These go from 3rd grade clear up through 12th grade in all different subjects, science, language arts, math. I also grabbed Switch on Schoolhouse, Essentials of Communication, and this is for your high school students. Now, one thing I would say is pay attention, because some auditory learners, not all at all, but some of them get very distracted by the visuals in a DVD. So if you find that the case, you can just have them turn their back to the TV or the computer, so they're not seeing it, but they're just hearing it. So just pay attention. You might test them, have them do it one way one day and the other way the next day, and see which way they learn best. Okay, continuing with math. Okay, Foundations in Personal Finance. This is Dave Ramsey. So this one is for middle school. So all of the content that they learn is on this DVD set. And then you have this workbook that your middle schoolers will fill out to apply what they have been learning. And then for your younger kids, Dave Ramsey has, this is the Smart Saver Bank. This is part of the Juniors Adventures series. And this has free Smart Money, Smart Kids audio lessons that come with this as well. There's a book set, and then there's a whole other set as well. Okay, let's talk about science. All right, science, you can get all kinds, you can find all kinds of documentaries online, you can buy DVDs. This one happens to be Created Cosmos, and then Our Created Moon. So there are books of these as well. So you might buy the book for your visual learner and then buy this for your auditory learner, and that way they can each learn the way that they need to learn best. For your younger children, you might try something like this. This is Hot Dot Science, Ultimate Science Facts, and it's got like lots of great pictures and diagrams and just teaches them all kinds of different things. And there's a little book that is in here as well. And the way that this works is this little pin here, they touch certain things and it speaks aloud and it makes noises and lets them know when they've done the correct answer and when they've got an incorrect answer. So that's where the audio part comes in. Okay, history. So let's take The Hiding Place. So for your young children, you might get a DVD like this, the Corrie ten Boom story, and have them watch this, and then either get a study guide to go with this, or just come up with your own discussion questions and talk to them, and that way that they're learning from this. Don't be afraid, animated DVD sets can be very, very educational. For your older children, you might get something like this. This is an audio set. This is radio theater called The Hiding Place, and have them listen to this. And then pair it up with a study guide, something like this one. This is Progeny Press's The Hiding Place study guide that follows through with just different questions and activities to help cement, again, that information. So it's education that sticks again. Also, Story of the World is a very popular curriculum with homeschoolers, and they have created this audio set. So this is the textbook on audio for your auditory learner. And then again, pair it with the activity book that again has a variety of different activities for your children to do, so that it just helps them to learn. And Drive-Through History America. This has been around for a number of years. And so this is a DVD set, DVD-ROM set. And so they're going to, again, see and hear the materials, and they're going to learn all about history regarding just the United States of America. Languages. I talked about how auditory learners are great picking up and learning different languages. So I just grabbed a couple. I could have grabbed them all because they can really learn anything. German, Chinese, Spanish, French, whatever they're interested in. Buy the materials and let them start learning. So here's a couple of sources. This is Song School Latin. This is book 1. And this is by Classical Academic Press. And it is a workbook. There we go. But it also has the CD in it as well. And then here is Bilingual Books. This is Spanish in 10 minutes a day. This is the audio CD set. It also has a digital download. And so again, languages are really easy for them to pick up. It's just pretty amazing to me. Auditory learners have a lot of great characteristics about them, and until their parents can determine that they are auditory learners, they can provide some frustration. But once you learn that they are an auditory learner and what their positive and what their strengths and weaknesses are, you can definitely begin to work with them and towards that. And they're just amazing people. And then for reading, Hooked on Phonics works really, really great with your auditory learner because there is a lot of reading aloud, and then there is also a DVD, and then there's also a CD as well. And so this one is the level 5. And so this is a great way to get them to start reading versus just a book. So that gives you ideas of different curriculum that you can use. This is just a little bit of what is out there. As always, you can find any of these products or others because, again, I just grabbed a small sampling for you to look at today. Go to Mardel.com. Also, you can find these in our stores if you happen to live near one of our stores. So, what have you learned today about your child's learning style? Was there any surprises? Do you have anything to add to that I have not already mentioned? Please share with us. I hope that this has been helpful to you. I've enjoyed putting this together for you. Thank you for watching, and have a great day and enjoy your homeschool life. Bye for now.